So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question.
What was the reasonable question?
So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time? You know.
Time blindness. Right.
I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, yeah, that culture needs to be dismantled.
Yes, by all means, let's dismantle a culture that actually values punctuality, dependability, and reliability. How dare they?
And then I asked that person, how can you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think, I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement.
No, the entitlement here is actually someone putting themselves in the same category as individuals that actually have legitimate needs for employers to make accommodations, when one's particular problem could actually be overcome by proper planning, time management, and getting a reliable watch.
Time blindness? Time blindness? Are you serious?
And what's wrong with this picture?
And what is wrong with that picture? Well,
They're all white.
and what exactly is wrong with that? I really want to know. Because even they said that it was probably unintentionally drawn by a child, and it might even be that child's family. But even if that isn't the case, let me ask a question. What exactly is wrong with a group of people being represented that all have similar ancestry, shall we say? What exactly is wrong with that? Or is it just because they all happen to be white? Because I really wonder if they would have the same amount of problem with a picture such as that if they all had a different ancestral background. I wonder, would they find it so easily offensive then? Or are some just looking for easy ways to be offended? So, satire. Right. I get that. Or at least a joke in extremely poor taste. But I have a question for the women that make this type of content. If guys start making this type of content about putting drugs in someone's drink, unbeknownst to them, will that be okay, or are you going to try to cancel them?
Fun fact. All women are expensive, so choose one in your price range and shut the fuck up.
Even more fun fact, some women out there are more than happy to announce that they have a price tag and can be bought. Oh my goodness, how awful! A gentleman sat within 10 feet of another person that happened to be a woman. My goodness, how lucky and, I might add, privileged does someone actually have to be if this is the worst thing that they're complaining about on the internet?
But the quickest way to get rid of a man that's causing you problems is to ask them for money.
Easiest way to get women like this to leave you alone indefinitely is to ask them to take any kind of personal accountability.
Don't you literally just hate when men
Get hated on for simply existing? Why, yes, I do, as do a lot of rational people out there. They actually look down on bigotry.
They think this type of stuff is cute. It's actually very corny.
I hate when I see a man that's so fine and then I pass him and he doesn't say anything.
Why would he say anything? There has to be more to this.
Like when people say, oh, girls don't shoot their shot. Yes, they do. If I look at you like this, like say you walking this way and I'm walking like this, and if I look at you like this, that's me shooting my shot. Come say something.
That was it? That's how some women shoot their shot? Oh dear. Now maybe I'm a little bit too old-fashioned, or maybe just too practical. But I wonder if they have considered using the tried and true technique of using words to communicate, instead of expecting men to be mind readers. Might have a little more luck with that.
You do know that men are not going to sit up there and be looking at you dead in your face, trying to see what you're up to. They do actually have their own lives.
This is why I think it's okay to generalize men.
Oh, goody goody. I know I, for one, love hearing this type of logic.
You literally don't know. You do not know. And not you don't know who it is, it's you don't know who it could be.
All right then. So by that very same logic of a person never knows who it could be, it is perfectly acceptable to generalize any demographic of people up into and including women, because men never know which woman is going to verbally them, physically assault them, use them for money, or accuse them falsely of any number of things, right?
I would rather hurt some little feelings because I don't like men than possibly be your next victim. And the gag of it all is, good men aren't offended by the shit I say because they know I'm not talking about them.
Oh, that old shaming tactic. How cute. But frankly, I think that's just about played out, because most reasonable and logical individuals know that generalizing any group of people is the beginnings of not just bigotry, but also racism and sexism. And anyone who is trying to bully another person into agreeing with such a thought process is really the problem. So I have been seeing a lot of videos lately. One could even go so far as to say tutorials, actually, specifically designed on how to rage bait men. Now, a person might be wondering, why exactly is that even a thing? Well, if someone thinks about it for a moment, it mainly comes from that group of individuals that think and say that it's all men. And it looks like they're running out of material for their particular arguments. So, in an effort to try to create more content, they have to rage bait men into saying something that isn't very nice, or rather distasteful. And therefore, they can make videos about it and prove their erroneous points. So, gentlemen, just a reminder, if you see something that appears to be rage bait, do the right thing and just ignore it. Because without disparaging or tasteless remarks, these individuals honestly don't have a leg to stand on.
Well, these types of women have nothing to do, so they would rather waste their time trying to make somebody else's life miserable.
I'm tired of being hated. Not all men. Don't let me into that.
And here we have an adult. Adulting.
Tired of being hated. Women have been hated since the beginning of time.
Oh, so that's the excuse, is it? Since, according to some, women have been hated since the beginning of time, it would naturally make sense for some women to decide to hate all men in return and somehow balance the scales by using hate. Bearing in mind, of course, that there are so many men out there that have never done a thing wrong to a woman in their lives, and also taking into consideration that the number of good men out there vastly outnumber the bad. But yes, of course, let's lump all men together because that makes the most rational sense.
So I don't think men should be allowed in public spaces unless they have documentation.
I don't think they thought this one through, at all. Because first of all, who is going to be the ones keeping the men out of these public spaces, which were, wait for it, most likely built by men? Who exactly is going to be the enforcement agents in this fictional situation?
In which at least 5 different women of their own free volition, not under coercion, have vetted this man.
And those 5 women, who exactly is responsible for vetting them? Because in case someone needs reminding, just because someone is a woman doesn't necessarily mean that their character is beyond reproach.
And have willingly given their phone numbers so that this man's references can be checked.
So the question is all of this enforcement and vetting and checking being only done by other women?
I think the world would be a much better place.
And I know the world would be a much better place if some stopped judging others based off of their gender.
They think this type of stuff is cute. It's actually very corny.
What if women just kindly talk to men and explain feminism to them, and maybe then they will start treating us as human beings?
Oh, I see the problem. That actually just might work, because having cool, calm, collected conversations usually is the best way to solve problems. But of course, that would just be too simple, wouldn't it?
That's not how it works. Stop making feminist content for men, because all it did is made them more resentful and angry.
Maybe, just maybe, it had more to do with the way that it was presented as opposed to the subject matter. Because believe it or not, most people, including men, are rather reasonable as long as they are approached in a reasonable manner.
What you should do instead is reach out to more women and educate more women that it's not worth to get married and to pop kids of these dusty men.
Dusty men, huh? Gee, I can't imagine why more men haven't warmed up to that message.
The only people who benefit from marriage and kids are male.
Oh, wait, is that why there's so many women out there looking for those provider men? Because they get nothing out of it?
On your energy, on your free labor, free sex, free everything from you in exchange for literally nothing, just fairy tale of love and whatever that they don't even understand. They don't know how to love.
And dialogues like this one are mainly the reason why a lot of guys tune out women when it comes to talking about feminism. Because if you can't have a conversation without putting the other person down, it only indicates you have nothing to contribute to that conversation.
The fact that men are pressed about women hating all men instead of taking accountability for the reasons why we're saying we hate all men is a perfect and prime example of why we hate all men.
Alright, so I think we're perfectly aware at this point that some women are completely bigoted against all men. And apparently it's because they refuse to take accountability. But what exactly are all men supposed to take accountability for? I wonder if that's going to be mentioned.
What do you not get? We're literally telling you, hey, you men do X, Y, and Z and make women feel X, Y, and Z, and you're controlling and manipulating, and you have no consideration for women.
Let's be very clear here. Some men do those things, but not all men. Yet all men are being held accountable for the actions of some. Why?
Instead of addressing that, you guys are going to gaslight us and say, women are just like so hateful towards men nowadays. Like everyone just hates men.
That is not what gaslighting is. Those men are stating a fact. Gaslighting is using psychological manipulation in order to get someone to doubt their own perceptions of reality in order to gain control. But those men are correct. There are a lot of women out there that hate men for apparently no logical reason. Because no demographic of people should take responsibility for the actions of some. And that is a hard reality that a lot of women don't want to accept. Equality. It is a very important subject. A subject that I have noticed has been markedly absent in a great many of the conversations that I have heard from some women who in fact do claim to be feminists. And I wonder why that is. It seems that some of these women don't want equality at all. No, in fact, listening to them, a person would think that they want to be treated as better than men, with more privileges, simply because they're women. Now, that's not what feminism is about, is it? And then there's the other problem, that a lot of these women don't want to hold, or so it seems, women to the exact same standards that they hold men to. They allow women to do things that they would condemn a man for. And is that equality? For instance, a lot of women who very openly say they don't like men are not condemned for it. Their sexism is approved. Why? They can say disparaging remarks, body shame, and even generalize an entire population with absolutely nothing being said to them. Is that equality? I don't think so. So I think a lot of these women actually need to look up what the definition of feminism is before they claim to be one.
It's wild to me that men think that we view them as our equal.
Who exactly is this we? And who would be so arrogant to speak for and on behalf of all women?
Or that we give a f about their opinion. Or that we even want to hear them talk.
I mean, that sentiment could apply to a great many people.
Because no woman I know who has any shred of self-respect views a man as her equal.
It kind of makes a person question the types of women that some choose to associate with.
A woman gives no f about a man's opinion on her clothes, on her career choices, on her marriage choices, or whether or not she has children.
Well, in case this is new information, those individuals out there that are truly strong and independent-minded don't actually care what other people think at all, whether they be men or women.
The only women who give up what a man has to say are the ones with no self-respect.
Really? Well, what I've noticed is when a person has to resort to shaming tactics in order to try to get their point across, they really don't have one.
Are you a woman? No. So your opinion on women's issues means nothing to me.
The irony is these are some of the same women that will care about a man's opinion as long as it agrees with theirs.
And you can scream into the void as much as you want. I'm not going to listen to you because the entire premise of men's opinions is oppression. That's all they want, is to oppress women.
It's quite entertaining when someone tries to speak on what all men want, yet refuses to actually listen to anything that they have to say. Anyone notice the problem there?
I don't ever want to hear the words male loneliness epidemic or men's mental health. Full stop, period.
Oh, well, isn't that nice?
I don't care. I don't care your reasoning. I don't give a shit.
Has anyone else noticed that there's a lot of individuals that say they don't care about, well, certain subjects, but then they go on to make entire videos about them saying how much they don't care?
Not a conversation. I'm telling you, I don't care, period.
Maybe this is one of those cases where they have to say it often enough just to convince themselves.
What about this? What about, I don't want to hear it. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
You're mean for not caring. I get, maybe. Yeah. That, the fact that you think I'm mean has absolutely nothing to do with me. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact I don't give a shit.
I wonder, were they finally able to manage to convince themselves that they didn't care about that? Let alone anybody else. Because for someone who said they don't care that much, they certainly were fixated on a couple of subjects.
I don't know how they keep doing it, but every day they get up and just come out here with more and more foolishness.
Just want to make sure that I say exactly what I mean.
In my experience, it usually is best if a person does say exactly what they mean. No sense in mincing words. Let's hear it.
If you are too much of a little to go to therapy and deal with your big feelings.
Well, they certainly didn't sugarcoat that one at all, now did they?
And you are out here willfully putting that burden onto women and get resentful when they don't deal with it, then good.
Oh dear. I wonder, did they keep that same level of sympathy for their fellow women who are also in some kind of mental health crises that for one reason or other can't or won't go to a therapist? I wonder if they'd call them the same disparaging names and insinuate that they're weak, because women actually attempt that act more. But just a reminder, if women's self-unaliving statistics were as high as men's were, it would be plastered everywhere. But since it's men, it's okay to call them weak and make fun of them, right?
A woman in the comments said, septum nose ring theory proven again.
I believe men are supposed to chase a woman, date her, spoil her, respect and adore her, and love her more.
I don't think at this point it's a secret that some women out there really don't seem to believe in equality in relationships. And what's up with the love her more part?
Anything outside of that is just weird.
Well, that was quite predictable. A lot of people actually do believe that everybody else needs to think in the same way that they do. Otherwise, they're just weird.
And if you're watching this as a woman, disagreeing with it, thinking it's too much or you don't deserve this, you have been brainwashed and you do not know your own worth.
Let me get this straight. Those of us that think that relationships should be based on equality with equal contributions coming from each side are the ones that are brainwashed? Okay.
And you may even have internalized misogyny, which you definitely need to work on and heal that.
Believing in equality in relationships does not and has never equated to a woman having internalized misogyny, no matter how badly a person wants it to. Recently, I asked for women, specifically those who say that they despise all men, to explain what the reasoning was behind their hatred. I mainly received two responses from that. The first being is that some of those women possibly experienced some type of or trauma from a man or multiple men in their past. But when I pointed out that a person's past traumas are not excuses for current bad behaviors, that did not go over very well. And then there was the second response, was that men commit the majority of crime in this world, and therefore they cannot be trusted. But when I asked, does that excuse stereotyping of certain ethnic groups or religious groups as well? And all there was silence. So I really didn't get a reasonable or rational response to why they hate men. Because remember, There is no reasonable or rational response to hatred, because hatred itself is irrational. Okay then. So I have a question, and this is specifically for those ladies out there that say that they hate and despise all men, because I have seen that there's quite a few of them. But my question is, why? Hasn't really been a good answer to that yet, because I don't understand, and I don't think a lot of other people understand, how exactly a person could hate an entire population of people. Hopefully I can get a reasonable and rational answer. I look forward to it. Okay, so since they're mainly the ones that perpetuate it, women don't get a say on what constitutes misandry or whether it actually exists or not.
There is no bigger turnoff than being around a man who thinks he's doing you a favor by being around you.
Well, they're not entirely wrong. However, let's actually make that statement correct. There's no bigger turnoff than being around any person, whether that be a man or a woman, who makes you feel like they're doing you a favor by being around them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of women out there that think they're doing men a favor by just being around the man. You pay for my dinner, and what you get out of it is enjoying my presence. Like, you get to sit in my presence. What?
So I made a man cry today.
Yes!
I'm about to be very direct here. So if you don't think you can handle that, I highly suggest that you leave now. Because if you're the type of person that enjoys seeing that type of content, that tells me all that I need to know about you and what type of person you are. You enjoy watching the suffering and having knowledge of the suffering of other human beings. And that makes you not a good person. In fact, that makes you quite the opposite of a good person. Now, I know that there'll be someone out there saying, well, that's just women doing and showcasing to men what they've done to women for centuries. Well, believe it or not, two wrongs have never actually made a right. And that just makes you as much of a hypocrite as you could possibly hope to be. So yes, if you like that sort of content, you are not a good person.
Your most attractive friends are single. Yeah, here's why.
Yeah, why is that?
I know you know. I know you're thinking of that one friend, like that one Becky that you're like, she's hot as, but she literally has never had a boyfriend.
There's usually a very good reason for that. But let's hear what their opinion is first.
Yeah, here's why. The boys, the men, the Jimmy, the John, the James are all afraid of getting their ego hurt, okay? Men go for who they can.
That's what they think the reason is? Oh dear.
And women go for who they want. And when you go for someone that you want, not knowing if they want you back, sometimes you get rejected.
Okay.
But because men are so scared of getting their ego hurt, they won't go for someone that they think will say no to them or will reject them.
A lot of women have actually convinced themselves of this.
Because God forbid, Jimmy John Jr. has to get rejected. How is he going to explain that to his friends? He thinks he's Mucho Man.
Just wait.
Girls don't just go for what they can. They have standards, and they don't just go for, the bottom of the barrel, but men settle, and that's the truth.
Now here's the part that a lot of women that think like this are not going to like hearing. But a lot of men will not approach very attractive women because oftentimes their personalities do not match their looks. And most men would rather date and be with a woman that treats them well and is kind to them and is a good person rather than just attractive. They'll date them for a good time, but not for a long time. Tell me, what exactly is the precise level of propaganda that a person would have to swallow in order to become seriously convinced that being a housewife is actually some form of oppression? Because if that were the case, that would mean that there are multitudes of women out there every single day actively and genuinely seeking out their own oppression, wouldn't it? Because many women will tell you that they want nothing more in their lives than a provider man who will take care of all of their needs so they don't have to work, so they can do what they want and ultimately be caretakers to the home and the household. But yet there are some out there that would have you view that as being oppressed, because they don't think that there aren't men out there that wouldn't love to switch places with some of those women in a heartbeat. But here's the question in regards to that. How many men have you actually asked that question of?
You're not allowed to say about women selling their bodies if you are blue collar, construction, or military.
All right, now I'm curious. Why is that?
Yeah, you did it too. You did it too. They paid your tuition, ho. You did it too.
Oh, bless their hearts, they really tried, didn't they? But by their logic, we could actually add, professional athletes, not to mention anyone whose job offers any kind of tuition assistance or reimbursement. But you see, the biggest difference between SW workers and those that they mentioned is that those that they mentioned tend to keep their clothes on.
I mean, at this point, they'll do anything and everything to excuse their bad behavior.
Being the only educated one in my family is so hard.
Oh, yes? Rather makes a person wonder, doesn't it? What exactly they mean by educated. Because there's all sorts of different types of education.
My grandma's like, something snapped in you. I got educated.
Well, now I'm really curious.
I'm the only one that has graduated from college in my family. So, yeah, guys. I got some smarts.
Oh, dear. Now, unfortunately, that is not all that uncommon of a belief amongst some individuals who have been lucky enough, and I might add fortunate enough, to have attended and graduated from university. Some are of the mistaken opinion that somehow makes them smarter, and in some cases even better than those who have not been afforded the same opportunities. But this is just a gentle reminder that having a degree does not necessarily make that person more intelligent than a person who does not. But then again, that is something in the realm of common sense, which, as we all know, is not all that common.
Men are homosocial. They don't really like women at all.
I'm sure that will come as quite a shock to a great many men.
They like men. They prefer being around men.
I mean, after seeing the ways that some women out there behave, who can blame them?
When you think of what men romanticize, they romanticize women being similar to men. Like in every movie that men make, the woman is the cool girl.
Oh dear. So we're making theories about men now based on movies that have been watched. Oh goody.
And the cool girl is always a woman that does manly things. It's always a woman that likes sports.
Heard it here first, ladies. If you like sports, you're not feminine.
It's the opposite with women. Women genuinely like men.
Oh no, dearie. Not all women like men, as has been made rather evident by lots of stuff on social media.
Men do not like women, and they don't want women to be women. Women still want men to be men.
This is hurting my brain.
They don't like that women are emotional. They don't like that women are soft. Their entire life, they've been taught that those things are bad, and they genuinely find those things disgusting.
I really feel sorry for individuals that have this particular mindset, because they obviously haven't met really that many good men.
I mean, who taught them that? The patriarchy.
Well, there went all credibility right out the window.
So all their life, they've been taught that femininity is bad, so they genuinely don't like it.
The saddest part of that is that there are some out there that will find that entire explanation to be reasonable.
You should only spend your time and energy around men who are doing things for you to solve your problems.
I think by now we're all aware that there are a lot of women out there that are only interested in a man for what they can get out of them. But my question is, if you're a grown woman, why do you need a man to help solve your problems? You should be able to do that all on your own.
If you tell a man about a problem you have and he does nothing to help you, get rid of that man. He does not like you.
Well, I've always believed that you should never do something for someone else that they are perfectly capable of doing all on their own.
A man that truly likes you wants to provide and protect for you, wants to make your life easier. And if he's not, then he's another problem you have, and you literally need to get rid of him.
Well, now some women are not going to like hearing this next part, but a lot of men out there are actually looking for a strong woman who is capable of dealing with things that come up in life. They're looking for a partner, not someone that they're going to have to take care of as if they're helpless.
Well, to answer your question, they're lazy and entitled. These modern women don't want to do anything. They really honestly and truly just want the pat on the back. That's it. They don't plan on really using it for much. They just want, instead of somebody going and learning something in order to better themselves, modern women are going and learning things in order to increase their validation, to increase the pats on the back that they would get, to increase the congratulations, the attention that they would get. Instead of somebody, say a plumber goes out there, he goes to school or he's an apprentice in order to learn how to make money. These modern women are so self-absorbed. The money is great, but the money brings them attention. If I can get attention by any other means, then that's what I'm going to be doing. A degree brings me attention. The money from a man, I'm getting his attention and I'm living free off of it. So it's things that validate me. It's things that bring me attention, and I'm here for all of it.
Oh, I think I see the problem. There's a strong, independent woman that has the same rights as a man, but doesn't seem to want the same responsibilities. That seems to be a very popular trend among a lot of women out there. They want to reap all of the benefits of having the same rights as men, but a lot of them certainly don't want the same types of responsibilities. For example, they don't want to have to take care of themselves and carry their own luggage. And then they complain when a man doesn't offer them a seat, even though they've been saying for years that they're equal to men and don't need special treatment, except when they think they deserve it. Yeah, that's part of the problem there. But the other part of the problem is why a guy probably didn't stop and help is, yeah, there's probably a tripod and a camera set up there so that the person can film themselves carrying the bag up the stairs. That might also have something to do with it.
So you're telling me you're gonna love a man who does nothing for you, but you don't love money?
Well, this sounds like it'll be wholesome.
You don't love the job that actually puts food on the table for you?
Well, let's be very honest here. A person is very lucky, actually, if they indeed do love their job. A lot of people just work because they have to.
But you're gonna love a man that does nothing and drags you to the depth of hell?
Why would any person want to be with a person, man or woman, that would put them through that? No one should have to put up with that nonsense.
Have some dignity. Go and fall in love with money. At least it does things for you.
Did they really just say, have some dignity and go fall in love with money? I love it when people use words and they don't actually know the true meaning of it, because dignity actually means having love and respect for oneself, being worthy of honor and respect. And I can't think of a single dignified person that would actually go so far as to be in love with money. Money is just an inanimate object, and let's be very clear, it can't actually do anything for you. It allows you, however, to do stuff for yourself as well as for others. And the only individuals that I actually have come into contact with that are in love with money are very shallow and miserly. And that is not the type of person that another one should try to emulate.
Call it what you want, but I do not believe a woman who is out of shape deserves to be in a relationship.
Call it what I want, huh? Oh, goody goody. Because I would call that a completely jealous statement, based on the fact that there are multitudes of women out there that a lot of women might not consider to be conventionally attractive, but yet are wonderful people with fantastic personalities who have been in very successful relationships for years. Yet some of those very same and very attractive women don't have a single thing going for them except their looks, and they can't get into a relationship for anything.
When it comes to love, there are rules one must abide by.
Oh, yes? Such as?
The first one is, love thy neighbor as you love yourself.
Well, so far, they're not doing a very good job of displaying that, now are they? Because they blatantly stated that unless a person is in good physical condition, they don't deserve to be loved.
So if you cannot love yourself enough to make sure you are physically fit, emotionally fit, spiritually fit, baby, you are not qualified to love anybody else. Feel how you want.
And I feel that the type of person that would try to dissuade anyone from being in a relationship unless they're in peak physical condition is honestly just trying to eliminate their competition.
What would you say if a man asked you what you bring to the table?
I'd say I'm not a waitress.
For those women that respond like this, it would just be a whole lot easier to say you don't bring anything to any relationship.
I wanted to prove to you that not all men are bad.
Okay, let's do this.
They're all right. All of them. All of them. All of them. Even the good ones.
even the ones who are emotionally mature, the ones who have done so much spiritual growth and learning.
No, they're not. And saying so is actually quite harmful. Now, I do understand that this person is actually dealing with some trauma, and that is highly unfortunate. However, that is not an excuse for poor behavior.
He let me have sex with him, knowing my trauma, knowing that I was a rape survivor, and then felt so bad that he thought he should be honest, but only when prompted. Only when prompted. I don't want to lie to you, I have raped one. But you still had sex with me? But you still had sex with a rape survivor?
That was truly a very sad situation. And she genuinely does have my deepest sympathies. And I do understand how such unfortunate events can make a person very angry and want to blame every man for the actions of one very disgusting individual who probably should be investigated. But it is not okay to blame all men for the actions of one wretched individual. And I will add, please don't harass this woman. She's gone through enough.
But men, they don't even know you exist. They don't even know who you are. And a lot of men share this same sympathy that Lady J is expressing. But they wouldn't even be doing that. They wouldn't even be caught dead doing that, because that's not how most men are thinking. And even this guy, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what you guys need to discuss, but that doesn't have anything to do with other men. She's all over the place. Oh, I don't trust nobody. And like Lady just said, I get it. If that happens to me, I'm like, dang, who can I trust? And you're just kind of spiraling, right? But I don't know. Well, you can never really say how people are feeling emotionally. I was just going to say, I don't know if the first thing that I would do is get on TikTok and make a video going crazy about it. I think somebody in the comments said, attention seekers final boss. Again, this is a very traumatic experience, but it's just like, man, I don't know why anybody would just pick up a phone and start going off instead of running to a therapist or like a pastor or like their parents or something like that. Why throw it on the internet? Like, why is that your first thought?
How much money should a guy make per year?
I don't think the first answer is going to surprise anyone.
200,000, I guess.
But the second answer.
My boyfriend makes like 30,000. 30,000? That should be way more.
What's wrong with $30,000? I mean, granted, it's not that much, but at their age, it's nothing to sneeze at.
I feel like that's like enough. He needs to make enough to spoil you and buy you everything you want.
Sadly, that's not an uncommon opinion among some women. They actually believe that a man spoiling them should be part of being in a relationship.
But like, he works hard for it, so I don't really care.
And unfortunately, not enough women have that mentality.
$30,000 is enough. No, it's not. Why not? Because a man should be spending a ring on $30,000.
How much on a ring? It's becoming incredibly obvious that a lot of women out there are just interested in relationships for what they can get out of it financially.
I think money doesn't matter, so it does matter if you want a successful life. But we are successful.
I'd be willing to bet I can predict which one of these women will be in a relationship that's actually built on a stable foundation, and which one of them is only in it for the money.
People think it's really picky that I'm not willing to date a single father.
Well, not necessarily. A person is, after all, allowed their own preferences while dating, but I think I would need to hear more.
It's like, if a woman took on the stigma of being a single mother rather than being with you.
Okay. Was not expecting it to go there.
Like, if she has a whole person with you and deemed you unworthy, why would I want to be with you?
Wow. Okay. So sometimes a man and a woman can be in a relationship together and happen to have a child, but sometimes those relationships just don't work out, and it can be the fault of neither person. But that doesn't necessarily mean that either of them considers the other one to be unworthy of being in a relationship with. That's quite an interesting stance to take.
And I guess maybe if you were a single father because your wife died, you're a widower.
Oh, so that would be the only time it's not the man's fault?
Like, Loki, how did she die, bro? Was it on a boat? Because if so, you did that.
Where's the guy with the red flag right about now? Because, yeah, he's needed. But I think a lot of single fathers will be very pleased to hear that some are not going to be in their dating pool.
Why do y'all bring this up, that women are getting divorced? Like, it's like a bad thing.
Well, a failed relationship really isn't a good thing.
Every woman needs to get a divorce. How about that? Divorce everyone.
How about no? But anyone else notice this type of advice seems to be coming from the same types of individuals?
Y'all are just mad that women have the right to divorce.
Well, that was a stretch. I surely hope that didn't hurt.
So now you're like, well, women are the reason for divorce. Yeah, because men will settle as long as they got coochie at home.
Here at the generalization station, some are choosing to ignore the fact that, according to the most recent statistics, 31% of divorces are actually initiated by men.
Men don't stay with women out of love. Y'all go to work and talk about the ball and chain all the time.
It's actually rather impressive that someone can be so confident in what they say, yet get so much of it wrong.
Y'all settle. As long as you have a body to go home to, y'all will settle.
Actually, most men would rather be single than settle. But a lot of times they stay in those types of relationships because they're actually hoping to work it out, as opposed to just getting divorced because it's easier.
So women are divorcing because women don't need y'all. Women don't need y'all to buy homes. Women don't need y'all for a bank account.
No, try again. Most individuals get divorced because at the end of the day, it's just easier than putting in the work to be in a relationship.
So I'm going to the ATM.
Okay, well, I gotta say, the text on the screen has me a bit curious.
Because I told my husband I need to go to the ATM and he was like, okay, babe, go now before it gets too late.
Oh dear. So for those of you whose hint-taking skills are not quite up to par, do allow me to translate. The woman was hoping that the man would pick up on the hint that she wanted him to go to the ATM as opposed to her. And now she's just frustrated that he didn't get it, and now she is going to have to go by herself. So ladies, just a suggestion, if you are frustrated or disappointed that your man in your life does not understand or pick up on hints, don't be surprised. Most men don't pick up on hints because most men are used to direct forms of communication. So if you want him to do something, try just saying that. You'd be surprised how well effective communication actually works in a relationship if you actually say what you want as opposed to beating around the bush about it.
The reason why women are no longer behaving traditionally?
Traditionally? Okay, why is that?
Is because men are no longer behaving traditionally. Y'all aren't behaving traditionally either.
Okay. Explain.
Traditionally, I'm not saying I agree with it, traditionally men were the ones who provided.
Well, traditionally, during that time period, women weren't allowed to work either. I mean, how traditional are we wanting to get?
And that gave women more time, if they didn't have kids and do all that unpaid labor, to be feminine and to be pretty and to not be stressed out.
I'm really starting to wonder, what do some of these women want? Do they want equality and the right to work, or do they just want to sit there and look pretty?
But since y'all want us to work...
Hold on a minute. It seems they're a bit confused, because it was actually hundreds of thousands of women who fought for years to gain the right to work. But they think that it was the men? Okay.
Gonna be these girl bosses that you so despise. How is it not clicking?
Just a thought here, and this might get me a lot of backlash, but if a woman can't figure out how to maintain her own femininity while maintaining her independence and working, yeah, that kind of sounds like a personal problem. It's not the guy's problem.
Men stopped yearning. Men don't yearn anymore.
And what exactly are they supposed to be yearning for? Quite frankly, I can't see a lot of men yearning after most modern women, especially taking into consideration how a lot of them act.
That's all women want. All they want is to be yearned for.
Oh yes, that's all women want, is to be yearned for. But if we take a look at social media, a lot of women out there are going to want men to chase them to see who can line up to pay their bills so they won't actually have to do anything on their own.
Why do you think Mr. Darcy is such a sought-after gentleman, sir?
They mean the fictional gentleman that was written by a woman for women. Okay.
Why do you think women are reading these fantasy novels about men who are literally crawling out of their grave to get to her?
Do you think a lot of those women possess the same character traits as the heroines in those novels? Probably not. That's why it's called fiction. Fantasy.
That's what women want. It's really not that hard, y'all.
Just a thought, and this might come across a bit harsh, but this goes for men as well as women. In order for someone to be desired, they first have to be desirable.
The
Let's hear it for the band of the year.
When precisely was the exact moment when the expression of hatred and bigotry towards a group of people became something that was considered to be, if not socially acceptable, at least very well liked by a large number of people? And if anyone doubts that, just look at the number of likes that a certain video has received thus far. And unfortunately, because this type of behavior is being encouraged, we will only see more of these types of posts and these types of messages, because there are a lot of individuals out there that want to get that type of validation. They want to have the likes and the views, so they're going to post this type of bigoted message so that they can get that notoriety and that popularity. And they're expressing bigotry simply because they want to be popular for it. There used to be a time that that was frowned upon. But now, as long as it's only against men, that's perfectly fine. We are certainly going backwards.
Misandry isn't a thing because misandry rarely, if ever, results in violence towards men.
Oh dear. So by this logic, as long as something doesn't cause large amounts of harm on a regular basis, it's not a thing. Right. But it's still okay to vehemently dislike someone based on characteristics that they cannot control. Good to know.
Misandry hurts men's feelings. Misogyny ends up with women being unalived by men.
I do believe that most rational people do acknowledge and understand that misogyny is wrong. After all, it is a form of bigotry, which, might I add, is misandry. But apparently it's okay to be a bigot as long as it's against men, because it only hurts men's feelings in some individuals' opinions, right? But unfortunately, that couldn't be further from the truth. Men do suffer from misandry, both physically and mentally. And if some individuals don't want to care about men's mental health and the unfortunate level of self-unaliving rates in the male population, well, then that's just fine. We'll just continue to push this narrative that misandry hurts no one except for men's feelings.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Turn around. Full U-turn.
Compensation? For what? I have seen numerous videos like this where there are a lot of women actually saying the same thing, that they deserve compensation for the time that they give to men. It's no wonder that a lot of men are losing interest in dating, because I really wonder, what are some of these women thinking that they deserve compensation for? And why do they deserve compensation? A lot of them don't bring anything to the table other than their physical appearance. And quite honestly, most guys could get just as good as entertainment out of playing video games as they could engaging with conversation with any of these women. So what exactly are they getting compensation for? And do they not understand how bad that they're actually making a lot of women look in regards to, it seems to be a you have to pay to play scenario? Paying for dating, yeah, no, there's a word for that.